Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. As I was preparing the message and preparing for our time today, one song just kept on coming back to my mind. And again, it's one of those very old songs that are so old that they become new. So many of you may not have heard it. Some of you may have heard it when you were in infancy. And so it will be good to kind of refresh our minds. It's called Pierce My Ear, O Lord my God. I don't think I've shared it with you here before. But the words of the song can be kind of a mystery if you don't know the background of it. What is all this piercing the ear and taking you to the door? Well, in the Bible, there was a custom that a slave in a house, in a large household, was given an opportunity to go free after he had served a certain amount of time. A Jewish slave was allowed to go free if at that time he said, I love my master, I love my life here, I love my wife and children whom I'd have to leave behind if I were to go, and so I want to be a bondservant. I don't want to ever leave this house. I want to be a slave in this home forever. The Apostle Paul himself calls himself a bondservant, and I think that's what he is calling us to be as well. And in order to sign the deal, the Bible says they would take this slave that said, I want to be a slave in this house forever, and literally nail his ear to the door of the house. The thought was that they would put a nail or some kind of an awe-piercing element in his ear and slam the door shut, so that there would be a hole in that ear. It would be permanently deformed, marking off that person as belonging to the household for his entire life, or her entire existence, which is usually he. In your case today, as we come before the Lord, what we are saying, earrings these days don't necessarily mean that, do they? Some of us have tried to pour meaning into those earrings. We wear them for fashion. We have these crosses, but maybe, why not? A legitimate meaning, something like this, that you belong heart, body, and soul to your Lord forever. Isn't that good? A willing offering. See if you can mean these words that way. Here we go. Pierce my ear, O Lord my God. Lead me to your door this day. I will serve no other God. Lord, I'm here. Sing those words one more time. Pierce my ear, O Lord my God. Pierce my ear, O Lord my God. Lead me to your door this day. I will serve no other God. Lord, I'm here to stay. For you have paid the price for me. For you have paid the price for me. With your blood you ransomed me. I will serve you eternally. A free man I'll never be. A free man I'll never be. Pierce my ear. Pierce my ear, O Lord my God. Lead me to your door this day. I will serve no other God. Lord, I'm here to stay. I pray that that will be the prayer of your heart as we come before the Lord today. It reminds me of one more story. It was in a time when there was slavery, and a man had sold himself completely into slavery. He had spent his livelihood, and like that prodigal son, he was completely lost, and he was being sold at an auction. And a man started bidding for his life who was known to be a very cruel taskmaster, and the only reason why he had to replace the slaves he had was because they would die under his heavy hand. And he was being bidden on, and then another person in the audience started to bid against this cruel master, and continued to raise the bid higher and higher and higher. And finally, instead of the cruel master, this other man outbid him and pledged a price that the cruel master was just not willing to pay. After the auction was done, after the papers were signed, the man that bought the slave came to the man who was now his slave, took the papers that cost him so much to purchase and placed it in the slave's hand and said, "You're free. Your debt's been completely paid. You can go and live your life." And then after a while, as the person was now walking away, the man who had bought the slave, he heard footsteps behind him, and he turned around and saw the slave with papers still in his hand, just coming and following him. And he stopped him and said, "Hey, don't you understand? I paid for everything that you owe. You are a free man. You are no longer a slave. You are free to go." And then he replied, "I understand what happened. You said that I'm a free man. I can go wherever I want to go. I would love to come and follow you and serve you. Could I do that?" And the story goes that the person who bought the slave took him home to be a part of his family. What a rich story. What a picture of what God has done for you and me. Completely without hope and doomed to a life of slavery to our sin and to every other power in this world. Yet Jesus pays the greatest price. And our only fitting response is to say, "You have paid the price for me. A free man I will never be." I pray that that will be your heart.